Beyond the Gates. Spoilers. Is Naomi finally ready to tell the truth while Tomas risks everything? I was looking over the latest Beyond the Gates preview for the week of July 6th through July 10th, and it feels like the show is setting up several major turning points all at once. Between secrets, legal battles, and a proposal that could end in disaster, this might end up being one of the most important weeks the series has had in a while. Before getting into the actual drama, there is one thing viewers need to know. The show won't be airing new episodes during the week of June 29th through July 3rd. Instead, CBS will be running repeats for those 5 days. From everything shown in the preview, though, it certainly looks like the writers are planning to make the wait worthwhile. One of the first moments that caught my attention was Kat arriving back at the Dupree mansion with Tomas by her side. The entire family is gathered together, waiting for her, and welcomes her home with a surprise celebration after her hospital release. At first glance, it looks like a simple welcome home party, but I don't think that's what anyone will remember about this gathering. The real shock seems to come later. Meanwhile, over at the casino, Joey Armstrong has a very interesting conversation with Randy Parker. Joey asks whether Deanna McBride would recognize Randy, and when Randy asks why, Joey responds with a line that instantly raises alarm bells. She's the job. That immediately made me wonder what Joey is planning. Is he preparing to use Randy to get close to Vanessa McBride's daughter? If that's the case, this could become one of the more dangerous schemes we've seen developing recently. The legal storyline also appears ready to explode. Mike Davis walks confidently into Bill Hamilton's office, looking completely sure of himself. Haley Hamilton quickly shuts down any confidence Bill may have left, telling him he's crazy if he thinks he's winning this case. Mike, however, doesn't hesitate for a second before declaring that he intends to win. What makes the scene even more interesting is that Bill, Mike, Naomi, and Dr. Madison Montgomery are all later shown sitting together around the same table. To me, that suggests some kind of negotiation may take place before the case reaches court. The question is whether Mike has any interest in settling. Personally, I have my doubts. Mike seems far too eager to face his former boss in a courtroom showdown, and that personal rivalry may matter more to him than any agreement Bill could offer. Of course, the storyline that really stood out to me involves Naomi Hawthorne. In an emotional scene with Danny Dupree, Danny suggests that if Naomi had reached outside her marriage for comfort, people would understand. I couldn't help wondering whether Danny was saying that more for herself than for her daughter. Whatever Danny's intentions may be, Naomi becomes visibly emotional and admits she has been lying to him for months. That confession feels incredibly important. For months, Naomi has kept her BRCA test results hidden, not only from Jacob Hawthorne, but seemingly from much of her family as well. I have been expecting this secret to come out eventually, and it feels like the pressure may finally be becoming too much for her to carry alone. If Naomi confesses everything to Danny, it could completely change several relationships at once. Another storyline takes us to Garland Memorial Hospital, where new Chief of Staff, Dr. Monica McCormick, delivers some devastating news to Leslie Thomas. Right in front of the nurses' station, Monica informs Leslie that the hospital's agreement with the free clinic has officially ended. Leslie looks stunned. Knowing Leslie, though, I find it hard to believe she will simply accept that decision quietly. The bigger question may not be whether she fights back, but how far she is willing to go once she does. Then comes the moment that closes out the preview and probably left the biggest impression on viewers. Inside the Dupree living room, surrounded by the entire family, Tomas gets down on one knee in front of Kat and asks her to marry him. Kat's reaction says everything. Shock, disbelief, possibly even panic. The preview ends before revealing her answer, but I have to admit that I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is no. Their relationship has moved incredibly fast, and while Tomas may view this as the romantic moment of a lifetime, Kat could see it very differently. If she rejects him publicly in front of her entire family, the fallout could be enormous. Tomas has shown plenty of confidence throughout their relationship, but confidence and pride often go hand in hand. A public rejection of this magnitude could bruise his ego in a way that changes everything between them. So I keep coming back to one question. If Kat says no, is this simply a temporary setback for the couple? Or are we watching the final chapter of their whirlwind romance unfold in real time? Maybe I am wrong, and maybe Kat surprises everyone with a yes. But after watching that preview, I definitely got the feeling that the writers want viewers preparing for heartbreak rather than wedding bells. I've been hooked on Beyond the Gates ever since Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson turned up the Emotions Best of My Love on her drive to Fairmont Crest Country Club. There was something about that moment that immediately pulled me in, and since then, my obsession with this show has only grown. To me, Beyond the Gates feels like a reminder of everything that made me fall in love with soap operas in the first place. The production values are impressive, the cast is incredibly strong, and the performances consistently deliver. But what stands out most to me are the scripts. I honestly can't remember the last time a television show, especially a daytime soap, sounded this authentic. The conversations feel natural, the emotions feel earned, and the characters actually sound like real people. Of course, no show gets everything right. There have definitely been a few missteps along the way. I actually enjoyed the reveal that Joey's sister was the Impaler, and I thought casting Ashley Jones against type as Heather was a smart and unexpected choice. But if I'm being fair, the plasma ring storyline has landed far more misses than hits for me. The same goes for Haley's storyline. Her original plan to kill Bill was genuinely brilliant, and I remember thinking the show was setting up something huge. Instead, I found myself joking that maybe she accidentally bought the bottle labeled "no action poison" instead of "slow acting poison," because the storyline has dragged on without delivering the payoff I expected. Still, those frustrations were easy to overlook because I genuinely believe Beyond the Gates is currently the best soap on television. That's exactly why the show's latest decision is so disappointing to me. The plan to air reruns during the week of June 29th through July 3rd feels like a major mistake. Sorry, but I said what I said. This isn't the first time the show has stepped away for a week, and I doubt it'll be the last. I voiced concerns the previous time it happened, and I feel exactly the same way now. Daytime television simply works differently from every other genre. Primetime dramas can air reruns without much backlash. Game shows do it, talk shows do it. Audiences are used to that schedule. Soap fans, however, are conditioned differently. We show up every weekday, 5 days a week, every week. That routine is part of the experience. Fans will usually forgive a classic episode airing on a holiday. But whenever a soap gets interrupted by breaking news or a sporting event, social media immediately fills with frustrated viewers wondering where their show went. Soap audiences are passionate, and they expect consistency. What worries me even more is the idea of viewers tuning in expecting fresh episodes, only to discover an entire week of reruns waiting for them. Yes, the cotillion episodes that open the week are fantastic television. I have no doubt they'll earn award consideration because they deserve it. But I keep wondering whether inviting viewers to revisit those episodes is enough to keep them engaged, or whether some fans might simply decide to reclaim that hour of their day and move on temporarily. That's a dangerous habit to encourage in daytime television. For me, the biggest issue is that the show didn't leave viewers with the kind of cliffhangers that make a break like this feel survivable. The final moments of Friday's episode gave us Shanice dealing with jealousy and Deanna putting on a brave face after hearing encouragement from her late father. Those scenes were enjoyable, and I liked them for what they were, but they didn't leave me counting down the days until the show returned. There was no jaw-dropping reveal, no shocking betrayal, no major character hanging in the balance, nothing that absolutely guaranteed viewers would rush back the moment new episodes resumed. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you're going to take a full week off in daytime television, I think you need to send audiences away desperate to know what happens next. Instead, we were simply told to wait. And wait we will. Because if there's one thing soap fans know how to do, it's wait. We've spent decades being trained to come back tomorrow, no matter what happened today. So yes, it's going to feel like a very long week without the residents of Barrington County keeping us entertained. But eventually July 6th will arrive, the gates of Fairmont Crest will reopen, and hopefully the reward will be worth the pause. Until then, I'll be here, watching the calendar and sounding the alarm when it's finally time to tune back in. Watching the latest developments around Beyond the Gates, I feel like we've landed in one of those classic good news/bad news situations that soap fans know all too well. The bad news is that next week is apparently all reruns. The good news, at least to me, is that we already have a pretty solid idea of the chaos waiting on the other side of the July 4th break when new episodes return on July 6th. I think the biggest emotional moment could easily belong to the Dupree family gathering to welcome Kat home from the hospital. What really caught my attention, though, was the fact that both Leslie and Eva are there as well. I honestly didn't expect Leslie to be the one extending an olive branch, thanking Kat for saving Eva's life. For a moment, it almost feels as if hell freezes over just a little. The new understanding between the sisters feels surprisingly mature by soap standards. They may never become friends, but Kat appears willing to accept that they share the same father in Ted. That alone feels like major progress. Of course, this is a soap opera, which means peace rarely lasts for long. That is exactly why I was wondering whether Tomas choosing this exact moment to propose is either incredibly romantic or catastrophically bad timing. Maybe I'm wrong, but proposals arriving immediately after a family truce usually come with warning labels. Will wedding bells ring, or are we looking at the beginning of the end for this relationship? Meanwhile, Deanna seems determined to follow the advice of her late father, Doug, and find a way to outmaneuver Joey in order to rescue her family situation. But I can't shake the feeling that she may have pushed a little too hard when she suddenly claimed to support her mother's relationship with Joey. Soap villains rarely trust sudden changes of heart, and that may explain why Joey apparently has Randy keeping an eye on Vanessa's daughter. If that's true, the situation could become dangerous very quickly. On the legal front, Mike seems completely confident about the lawsuit against Madison. I always get nervous when lawyers in soaps start sounding overly confident, because that's usually when surprises start appearing out of nowhere. Once both sides finally sit down and lay out their arguments, I think the real question becomes whether Bill somehow manages to pull off another victory. Another storyline that has me curious involves Leslie receiving news that the partnership between Garland Memorial and the clinic could be ending. The partnership may have originated because of former Chief of Staff Leah and her involvement in the blood plasma ring scandal, but it has also become something that genuinely benefits underserved members of the community. I find myself wondering whether the new leadership will really cut ties with a program that still has the potential to do so much good. And then there is the fallout from the Impaler case. The investigation already pushed Jacob and Naomi to their limits as a couple, especially with Jacob throwing himself fully into bringing down the blood plasma ring operation. But I think the bigger issue may actually be the secret Naomi has been keeping about her health. The question isn't simply whether she tells the truth, it's who she tells first. If Naomi finally opens up to Danny, she might discover that advice, support, and understanding can come from the last place she expected. And in a soap opera, those quiet conversations often end up changing everything. I think fans of Beyond the Gates are going to have a difficult time getting through the first week of July, because, unfortunately, there won't be any new episodes airing during the week of June 29th through July 3rd. Instead, CBS is rolling out encore presentations, which means Fairmont Crest drama will be temporarily on hold. Still, from what I'm seeing, the wait may actually pay off, because the week of July 6th through July 10th looks packed with surprises, returning faces, and some potentially dangerous schemes. One of the biggest developments to me continues to be the unexpected return of Doug McBride, or at least the ghostly version of him. I honestly didn't expect the writers to keep using Doug in this way after his death back in September 2025, but the character has become one of the show's most interesting storytelling devices. Doug recently appeared to his daughter, Deanna, once again, and his advice was surprisingly strategic. Rather than pushing her toward revenge directly, he encouraged her to rebuild her relationship with Vanessa first. The idea seems to be simple: earn her mother's trust, get close, and then use that position to strike back at Joey Armstrong. I have to admit, I was wondering whether Doug's appearances would eventually stop after his shocking return earlier this year, but the writers seem committed to keeping him involved in Deanna's storyline from beyond the grave. Speaking of Joey, his next move could end up creating even more chaos. It looks like Joey may recruit Randy Parker for some kind of questionable assignment involving Deanna. The details are still unclear, but I can't help thinking the plan might involve Randy pretending to pursue a romance with her. If that's where this story is heading, Joey could be setting up a manipulation scheme that becomes far messier than he expects. Over at Garland Memorial, there are also major developments on the medical front. The hospital's new chief of staff, Dr. Monica McCormick, is expected to make her presence known quickly, and not everyone will appreciate her decisions. One of her first major moves appears to involve ending the partnership between the hospital and the free clinic, delivering disappointing news to Leslie Thomas. To me, that feels like the beginning of a much larger conflict, rather than the end of one. Decisions involving healthcare services on soaps rarely stay administrative for long, and this one could easily become personal. Meanwhile, Bill Hamilton's legal troubles continue to grow more complicated. Mike Davis, Bill's former employee and one of the more slippery characters connected to his orbit, is set to reappear as Bill and Naomi work to resolve Dr. Madison Montgomery's legal problems. I may be wrong, but Mike's involvement immediately makes me suspicious that this situation won't be resolved as cleanly as everyone hopes. Characters like Mike rarely return simply to help move paperwork along. Overall, I think the week of July 6th has the potential to reward viewers for surviving the rerun break. Between ghostly advice, possible romantic deception, hospital shakeups, and legal complications, Fairmont Crest doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. I think Beyond the Gates fans are going to have quite a week to look forward to when the show finally returns with new episodes during the week of July 6th to 10th. Since CBS is airing reruns from June 29th through July 3rd, there won't be any fresh drama for a few days. Still, after watching the latest preview, I was left with the feeling that the wait might actually be worth it, because the upcoming episodes look packed with surprises, secrets, and major relationship developments. One of the first moments that caught my attention was Kat Richardson returning to the Dupree mansion alongside Tomas Navarro. The entire family greets her with a surprise welcome home celebration after her hospital stay, and at first it seems like a sweet family moment. Of course, this is a soap opera, so a simple party is never just a simple party. The biggest shock may arrive later when Tomas suddenly drops to one knee in the Dupree living room and asks Kat to marry him. Kat looks completely stunned as the promo ends with her speechless. I was wondering whether this proposal is coming too fast, considering everything Kat has been through recently, but maybe that's exactly why Tomas doesn't want to waste any more time. Whether she says yes or not could shape the next chapter of their relationship. Meanwhile, Joey Armstrong appears to be putting another mysterious plan into motion. During a scene at the casino, Joey asks Randy Parker whether Deanna McBride would recognize him. Randy seems confused by the question until Joey reveals that Deanna is the job. That immediately raised alarm bells for me. The preview then flashes to Randy hugging Vanessa McBride's daughter at a cafe, which makes me wonder if Joey intends to use Randy to get close to Deanna for some larger scheme. If that's the case, it could become one of the more dangerous storylines unfolding this summer. Over in Bill Hamilton's office, tensions surrounding the lawsuit continue to rise. Mike Davis arrives looking incredibly confident, while Haley Hamilton openly tells him she thinks he's crazy if he believes he can actually win the case. Mike doesn't back down for a second and insists that victory is exactly what he expects. Later, Bill, Mike, Naomi Hawthorne, and Dr. Madison Montgomery are all gathered together, which suggests negotiations may finally begin. The question is whether either side is truly willing to compromise, or if this legal battle is destined to get even uglier. Speaking of Naomi, her scenes with Danny Dupree may end up being some of the most emotional moments of the week. Danny tells her daughter that if she has been seeking comfort because of problems in her marriage, people would understand. That's when Naomi breaks down and admits she's been lying to him for months. My immediate thought went straight to Naomi's brca test results. If she has been keeping that information from her husband, the emotional fallout could be enormous once the truth comes out. Secrets involving health issues often hit especially hard because they affect not just one person, but entire families and future plans. At Garland Memorial Hospital, another bombshell is waiting. New Chief of Staff Dr. Monica McCormick informs Leslie Thomas that the hospital's partnership with the free clinic is ending. Leslie looks genuinely shocked by the news, and honestly, so was I. Depending on the reasons behind the decision, this could create major consequences for both patients and staff members moving forward. It also feels like the beginning of a larger conflict involving Monica's leadership and priorities at the hospital. Overall, the July 6th to 10th episodes seem to have a little bit of everything that makes daytime drama so addictive. Surprise proposals, hidden agendas, courtroom battles, family secrets, and devastating professional setbacks. If the preview is any indication, Fairmont Crest is about to become a very busy place once new episodes return. Of all the storylines, I'm probably most curious about Naomi's confession and Joey's mysterious plan involving Deanna. Those are the two developments that feel like they could explode in unexpected ways. Of course, I may be completely wrong, but that's part of the fun of trying to predict where a soap story is heading. When I looked at the lineup for Beyond the Gates during the week of June 29th through July 3rd, 2026, I immediately got the feeling that this wasn't going to be an ordinary week of reruns. To me, it feels more like a carefully chosen trip back through some of the show's biggest emotional moments, major turning points, and unforgettable character stories. I was especially interested in how much of the week revolves around Samantha's cotillion. Watching the Dupree family prepare for such an important event reminds me how central family traditions have become to the show's identity. At first, everything appears to be about celebration and elegance, but I think longtime soap fans already know that major family events rarely stay peaceful for very long. Early in the week, Jacob's meeting with Rin adds another layer of intrigue, while Ashley finds herself in full panic mode as Grayson braces for what could be devastating news. Meanwhile, Bill digs into Haley's past, and Leah puts Derek on the spot with questions he may not be ready to answer. To me, these quieter confrontations often end up being just as important as the larger dramatic moments. Then comes Tuesday, and everything seems to explode at once. Grayson manages to complete his assignment, but whatever success he feels doesn't last long because chaos erupts at the warehouse shortly afterward. At the same time, Samantha and Jessica finally make their cotillion debut, which should have been the highlight of the evening. Instead, Nicole is suddenly forced to deal with an emergency, turning what should have been a celebration into something far more complicated. By Wednesday, the consequences become impossible to ignore. Someone dies on the same night that a Platinum Deb is crowned, creating one of those classic soap opera contrasts between triumph and tragedy happening side by side. Vanessa begins questioning Joey about everything that happened during the chaotic evening, and I found myself wondering just how much Joey really knows and how much he's willing to reveal. At the same time, Tyrell and Jessica share an important milestone as they slip away for their first intimate moment together. In true soap fashion, personal happiness unfolds against the backdrop of heartbreak and uncertainty. Thursday brings one of the week's biggest highlights, with Broadway legend Jennifer Holliday making her guest appearance. Her performance for a friend feels like one of those moments designed to stop the story in its tracks and simply let emotion take center stage. Elsewhere, Nicole brings Kyle to her family's Easter brunch. Ted offers advice to Carlton, and Anita reminds Anastasia exactly where she stands. Haley, meanwhile, struggles with feeling like an outsider while surrounded by the close-knit Dupree family. I think those quieter feelings of isolation can sometimes hit harder than the show's biggest confrontations. And just when it seems Grayson has survived the worst of his troubles, a new threat arrives. The week closes on a surprisingly emotional note, with Naomi and Jacob spending their anniversary apart. Even though they're separated physically, they find a way to reconnect by remembering the journey that brought them together, from their first date all the way to their wedding vows. To me, that feels like the perfect ending for a week built around memories. While these episodes revisit the past for viewers, the characters themselves are also looking back at the moments that shaped who they became. That's probably why these reruns feel less like filler and more like a celebration of what has made Beyond the Gates resonate with its audience in the first place. I think one of the reasons audiences connect so strongly with soap stars is when we get to see who they are beyond the characters they play. That is exactly the feeling I had watching the latest Instagram reel from Daphne du Plessis and Carla Mosley. The Beyond the Gates co-stars once again brought their infectious energy to social media with a fun dance video that perfectly captured a carefree summer mood. As they danced together, the words, "No stress summer loading," appeared across the screen. And honestly, that simple message matched the entire atmosphere of the clip. Daphne kept the caption just as simple, writing, "Downloading good vibes only." To me, that short sentence summed up the video perfectly. It was light, playful, and full of the kind of positivity that feels refreshing to see. What stood out to me even more was how natural their friendship appears. Their chemistry clearly extends beyond the CBS soap, and moments like these make it easy to understand why fans enjoy following them off-screen just as much as they enjoy watching them on-screen. Of course, longtime followers already know this wasn't a one-time thing. Daphne du Plessis and Carla Mosley have built something of a tradition with these dance reels over the years. Their Friday dance videos in particular seem to have become a regular highlight for many Beyond the Gates viewers. I was wondering at one point whether these videos would simply be occasional behind-the-scenes moments, but they have gradually become part of the fan experience itself. Between the dancing clips, playful exchanges, and glimpses into life away from filming, the actresses have created a connection with viewers that goes beyond the storylines unfolding on television. Maybe I am right, or maybe I am wrong, but I think these small, genuine moments often strengthen a show's community just as much as the episodes themselves. Fans don't just follow the characters anymore. They enjoy watching the friendships that exist behind the scenes too. For Beyond the Gates fans, Daphne and Carla's latest dance reel feels less like another social media post and more like the latest chapter in a friendship viewers have been lucky enough to watch develop in real time.